Welcome to a previously recorded webinar on Autodesk subscriptions, Perpetual license versus term-based, with Jennifer Stockton.
As always, we have upcoming events going on. We've got several big ones coming up in the next month or so.
Yep.
So do stay tuned to our website for future details and emails and things like that are coming out for future events. I know we've got some big ones coming up for the new product releases and that type of thing. So
just as an aside note, do have another couple webinars today.
Yes.
One in particular is going to be on steel structures with some new features for 2017 that I'll be putting on, but I was a shameless plug for myself in there if you'd like to join us.
And a brand new webinar called Blues Cues.
Blues Cues. It's on using another product line out there called Bluebeam. So yes, we're not just Autodesk, but we have a variety of other things we'd love to show you.
Excellent, excellent. I'm looking forward to that one. All right, so jumping in here to maintenance plan versus term-based plans from Autodesk. So maintenance plan are for your perpetual licenses, and perpetual are the licenses that we've sold all the way up until this point, basically. Perpetual meaning that if you cease to pay for your maintenance plan, that means that you don't get any more upgrades for that license, but you can keep using it on the last version it was upgraded to. So say you stopped paying your maintenance plan in 2016, you can keep using 2016 for as long as you've got a computer that can install and run 2016. With all the updates from Microsoft, that's getting a little bit harder and harder these days.
So would you say that this is like I bought the version of software, that box, and I own that box kind of deal?
Exactly, exactly. So even if you quit paying for upgrades, you get the last version that it was at. So maintenance plan, though, is great because you get the latest updates when they come out every year in April, and you get access to 3 previous versions with your maintenance plan, and you get support through Autodesk as well. It's staying the way it is. As long as you continue to pay your maintenance plan every year, everything stays the same. You keep getting your upgrades. You can keep using those previous versions. Nothing changes. A little bit of change in the terminology, meaning what they're calling things. They're changing what they're calling standalone licenses, which is where the license is tied to one machine. That's now kind of being called a single user license. And network licenses, where it's a pool of network licenses on your server that are issued, and you can have the software installed on 100 computers, and it's all controlled through a license file on your server. That's now being called multi-user access. And the big thing about maintenance plans with all these changes is that there's no grace periods for renewal. So do get your renewals in before that expiration date. If you don't know what your expiration date is, it's available in your Autodesk account. And it's available. You can give us a call. We can let you know just to make sure everything's on track. We want to be sure that that renewal goes through on time for you so that you can keep getting updates and everything stays on track.
Yeah, because once that ship has sailed, it's done.
Yes.
They're becoming pretty hardline on that, and
Very
because they have other options now.
Exactly.
Now you did mention that if we're on this maintenance plan, the perpetual license, and we have available the last 3 versions. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Now,
yes.
If we don't maintain our maintenance plan, are we still available to those last 3 versions of the software?
The access to the last 3 versions goes away when the maintenance plan goes away. You only have access to the last version you were updated to if the maintenance plan goes away.
And that's by the licensing requirements.
Right.
So the police would have to catch me if I'm using older versions. Okay.
Yes.
So that's a good thing for
bad boys.
Yeah, we don't want that to happen to you. But that's important, especially for people like on Revit, because it is not backwards compatible. So
those extra version access is important.
That's pretty much why you're paying for it.
Civil 3D users too. I mean, the backwards compatibility went away in 2017, according to Brian Haley. So it's no longer. I know, it's no longer backwards compatible in 2017, so you're going to want access to those previous versions still. huge changes in Civil 3D that are definitely worth it.
Yeah, Brian's excited about that.
Yeah, very excited. Yeah, like a kid in a candy store.
Oh, yeah.
All right, moving on to term-based plans. So term-based, meaning rental, but we're...
you can't use the word rental.
Exactly.
So if you use rental,
term-based.
it's term-based. So don't use rental. It's a bad word.
We can't use the word rental.
Yeah, rental.
Exactly. Big thing about those, there are actually 4 different options when it comes to term-based plans: monthly, quarterly, annual, and multi-year plans for those. CAD 1 has access to the quarterly, annual, and multi-year plans, and Autodesk has the monthly access there. So we definitely can help you out with any of those options. It makes a great option for if you just have a short project going on. If you need to gear up, you know you've got work for the next year, but you don't know about next year, things like that. So it makes your budgeting a lot more flexible. There's also not that big price gap, big price charge at the beginning. When you purchase a perpetual license, there's a huge charge for that license versus it's more spread out with these term-based licenses as well. And again, we've got that new terminology: single user for standalone and multi-user for network licenses. So
yeah, and this one becomes a nice option. If you have a project that's coming up, you can actually, I've seen people actually build this into the project itself. You've got a direct price, link it right to the budget, throw it out there, have the owner pay for that particular piece, actually show the value of what you're buying in there, so that when the owner, throws up their hands and goes, wow, this is more expensive than I thought, you can say, well, here's the software, this is what it costs, this doesn't grow on trees type
build
of thing.
it into your bids, and build it into your bids too. I mean, it's definitely something you can do.
Although if you want to win the bid, you might not want to do that. Who knows?
So a couple other things. It still has the quarterly, has access to 2 previous versions, and the annual and multi-year have access to 3 previous versions, just like the perpetual plans. All this other same benefits as the perpetual maintenance plans. So you're getting your subscription and your access included there. So a couple other things about the term-based. The big thing is that access ceases when that term expires.
Ooh.
So when your term period expires, say it expires on a Monday and you go to start the software up on a Tuesday, it's not going to start. It's going to tell you your license is expired and you can no longer access it. So that's the big thing, is that it's not going to just keep working. You only have that version. No, it shuts off.
Now, can I just flip a switch and get it back on?
No. Well, you can call Autodesk or call CAD 1 preferably, and we get that renewal put through. You update your serial number, and then you're back to work again.
So it's going to issue a new serial number and everything?
Yeah. And it does take 2 to 4 days typically, on average, provided it's not the end of the quarter, to get that renewal pushed through. So so please do not wait until the last minute on those.
Now, if you're on a month, or let's say you're on a quarterly subscription, can you go monthly after that? Or
it would mean issuing a new serial number, and you would have to switch from being with CAD 1 to switch over to being with Autodesk for the monthly.
So you don't want to do that. Just go quarterly to quarterly and get it done on time and on budget. We can help you do that.
Exactly. Another big thing for the single user plan with the term-based licensing is that the contract manager needs to go in to the Autodesk account and assign one of those single-use licenses to the correct user. If that user isn't already a user in there, then create a user and then assign the software to them. So say you have 5 single-use licenses and you have 5 employees. Each one of them needs to have an Autodesk ID and password, have logged into the website at least one time, and then have that software assigned to them for their use. If not, you're not going to be able to actually activate the software. So whenever you start up a term-based license, it's going to prompt you for your username and password, meaning your Autodesk ID and password. And then after that, once it's checked that, then it'll allow you to activate the software. So we've been seeing a lot of tech support calls on that. if you're the only user in your shop, it's automatically going to assign itself to the contract manager. So that is one thing to note. If you have multiple people in your office, you may need to go in and unassign it from yourself as the contract manager and assign it to the correct employee. And then we have something that's fairly new. As of February of this year, we have multi-user term-based access. So we have these license files for network license access that are, I mean, ultimately they're very, very similar to the perpetual licenses, with the exception that there's an expiration date in them. And no, you can't go in and edit the expiration date.
I was gonna
No. That would break the license file. So you'd have to generate a whole new one and that type thing. So they can be combined with perpetual license files so that they're all in the same license file read by the license manager. But they do need to be created on the same day. So say you have perpetual licenses of Building Design Suite and you have term-based licenses of Building Design Suite. Those license files need to be created on the same day so that they don't supersede one or the other. That is the information that we have anyways. It may be subject to change, but that's the way we understand it as of right now.
As of today.
Yes. So
April
April 19th.
April 19th. There you go.
So that's one thing, that they do need to be created on the same day if there are different products, just so that one doesn't overwrite the other one. There is a new feature in the Autodesk account where you can generate a license file directly from the Autodesk account. They will just send it right to you. And then as always, CAD1 can prepare your license files for you.
Sweet.
So definitely, yeah, very good thing. Those are the main highlights of term-based versus perpetual licenses. And I see we might have a few questions
Couple
coming
of different questions in here. So is that all you had for this so far?
That's primarily what I had thus far. I mean, no huge changes. Everything will be fine. There is no major worries. I know a lot of people are still very confused about the changes that are coming out. It's really going to be okay. It's nothing major. Trust us, we're seeing this. So we know what's going on. We know what's coming down the line, and we can help you through this. No problem.
Cool. Well, we got a couple questions in here, so I'll get into those. And the first question comes from John. Did you say you have to have a single user for a single license?
And then I think the second question.
And the second question ties into that. So two people can't use the same software at different times.
So if you have one seat, it should be for one user. That is the way it's designed.
So by users, we mean machines, or do we mean people?
People.
Oh. Because it used to be by machines, right?
It kind of used to be by machines. It used to be not as big a deal. But technically the way it's set up or designed now, it's supposed to be for one user. Now, unofficially, you could, create a generic office user that your employees would then use to log in. But
now this opens up another question from John. He says on the flip side, therefore, if that's the case, can you have this installed on several computers just for that single? I'm going to interpret the single user separately.
So just like with the perpetual licenses, you can only install a single user license on a maximum of 2 machines. So after the second machine, it's going to want you to justify every activation after that.
Okay.
So you're going to need to explain, did my computer crashed or something like that. So just like with the perpetual license, you're allowed a maximum of 2 computers, and it's supposed to be the same user on both machines, so they can't be in use at the same time.
Now, what if an employee quits? Do you still have access to that software?
Yes. Yeah, so what you would do if an employee quits, we did actually a webinar on this about 2 weeks ago on adding and removing users in the Autodesk account. You would just remove that employee from your Autodesk account, so that would shut off their access to it, and you would create a new user for your new employee or for yourself, and assign the software to that new user or back to yourself again.
Now, my understanding is that's because you also have a person who's an account manager or a
yes. So
license
in every
manager?
account you have 2 organizational roles. The contract manager, and they kind of oversee everything. They'll have permission to everything, including the billing and contracts. And then each piece of software would have a software coordinator, so they could be going in and assigning different users to the software based on their software coordinator role. They have access to everything except for the billing and contracts. So.
Now another question came in. What if you were offline, like the blizzard we had last week, and you're unable to get connection to the software?
Sure.
Excellent
How
question,
does that work? I was just thinking about that. The nice thing about the single use license, or the single user licenses, is they only check with the internet or with Autodesk every 30 days. So if you need to go out in the field where you're not going to have internet, you're going to Mexico for 2 weeks, I don't know why you would take AutoCAD with you. I mean, that type of thing.
Time. It's
exactly.
Margaritas and AutoCAD.
Exactly. That sounds like an excellent webinar topic.
I would tune in for that.
Yeah, so it only checks every 30 days. So it only needs to reestablish internet connection every 30 days. To check in with Autodesk as far as the licensing for the single user go. Network access, you're going to need to remain connected to your network and or borrow a license for the standard periods of a day up to 6 months. That type thing also works just like it always has with the network licenses. But for the single user, you do need to connect to the internet at least once every 30 days.
So as long as you connected the day before the blizzard and went home, or borrowed the license if you're on a network, you should be fine. So
no problem there.
For us, we can anticipate the blizzards and stuff out here, but for the the guys in California with the earthquakes, sorry guys, that we can't predict earthquakes.
Exactly.
So those natural disasters, you're just going to have to be checked out. Okay. The question here: what are the costs versus the perpetual license?
So the perpetual license, and I don't know exact numbers. I'm on the tech support side.
Yeah, unfortunately,
so
we stay out of
exact
the money
numbers
issues.
is not something I like. I know that for example, building design suite just happens to be one I know generally off the top of my head. The perpetual license, to purchase the license outright, was around $7,000. And then to purchase that maintenance plan every year was $1,200 or so.
Sounds about right.
Every year to keep that on maintenance.
Don't quote us on that.
Don't quote us exactly.
We're not salespeople.
These are rough numbers. But just to give you as an example, a perpetual, so that's the perpetual cost. The term-based cost then is going to be around $2,000 a year, roughly. $2,000 to $2,500 a year.
And term-based, that would be the rental, right? That we're not supposed to say?
Exactly.
Okay,
exactly. Yes. And there's different costs for multi-year versus annual versus quarterly, that type of thing. So it's a lot smaller cost for 1 year's access. You're not paying that giant fee up front, which can help some budgets a lot. But then you're paying that slightly larger amount every year versus the smaller amount for the maintenance plan.
Which is nice. I actually have a friend of mine who practices architecture about 6 months out of the year, and then he's in like Tahiti and everything else the other 6 months. So
that sounds like a good plan.
Just do that term base for 6 months, get those houses done, and then go sit on the beach. And
exactly.
That would be the way. Sorry, I can't work on your project. I don't have software right now.
So excellent questions. So let us know if you have any other questions. Those are the big things as far as perpetual versus term-based. One last one coming in here. Any danger of the perpetual licenses going away? I don't know.
My crystal ball says, please ask again in 6 months.
Yes.
Really, it comes into that we are kept in the dark until about as much as you guys are as far as Autodesk goes. Once in a while, they give us a heads up on some things, but as far as this license thing and the way things are turning on here and how the software is handled, we get a little bit of heads up sometimes as far as what to prepare for.
Right.
Sometimes that little bit of heads up is like the day of. So we know as much as you do, and it's just seems to be the way things are right now. Another question.
The few dates that we do know and are aware of. So, if you're buying a single product like AutoCAD or like Civil 3D or Revit architecture alone, where it's not part of a suite or anything. Well, that time has passed. That was in February, and I know we've sent out so many emails on it. I'm sure you guys are sick of seeing them already. So
yeah, so unfortunately, going out and buying those single licenses is not available. Maybe
as a perpetual with maintenance.
Yeah,
it is available on the new term-based option.
Yeah, so you can rent it, but you can't buy it outright. Can you do LT then?
No.
No, not even LT. So everything's gone.
The only thing
now
left is the suites. Those are available on the Perpetual plus maintenance plan up until the end of July. Those are available to purchase on Perpetual plus maintenance or term-based up until the end of July, the last day of July. And do not wait until the last day of July.
The phones
like
are busy.
I said,
The
it
phones
takes
are busy.
a minimum of 2 to 4 days to get that through. So there is a, up until that time, those will be available for perpetual or for term-based options. So after that, then you're looking at the term-based for any new products that you want to purchase. Before or up until that time, you have options for both, and after that time it will be term-based only. So if there's any other questions that you have, please let us know. We'll hang on here for a couple more minutes. Just to go over, we are available on Facebook and Twitter. Brian Haley, civil engineer, has his own Twitter and blog there.
He's special.
Yeah, we also have a new website that you can visit. We are recording this, so you can check out that on our YouTube links there, or you can search us on YouTube, CAD1 webinars, no dash in there. CAD1 webinars.
There's no dash in there?
No dash in there.
Oh man, no wonder no one can
Give
find
the
us.
Mrs. Dash, yep.
Yeah, hopefully you guys found this useful. I know we're going to be trying to do a little bit more shorter webinars as the time goes on. That way when people go back and look for them, they have the right topic in there, so kind of more specialized, but we'd love to have you on, and thank you
And
all.
if you have any other topics you'd like to hear about, please let us know. We'd be happy to look into those as well. All right.
Have a good day.
Thanks.